In this lesson, I'm going to show you electric bass players how to play scales, major scales, and other scales on one string and then across strings on double bass. So, if we go to the open A string, and I want to play an A major scale, I've got to know the system that that scale is made up of in terms of intervals, whole steps, and half steps. So the major scale is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. You know, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Now that was going across strings, but I could use those whole steps and half steps to get up the bass on one single string at a time, and it'll really help open up the instrument and get me closer to the dreaded thumb position. So here's how I would do that. If I start on open A, I'm gonna name the interval and then the note that I'm going to. So here's A. I'm gonna go a whole step, which would bring me to the note B. Now normally, I could play that in the first position with my second finger, but because I'm gonna keep going, I'm gonna play it with my first finger so that I can get the next whole step to C sharp. Let's review. Whole step to B, whole step to C sharp. And always descend. Notice I have the bass leaned in, still kind of straight up with the headstock near my ear. That makes it comfortable for me to pluck without hurting my right arm. And I'm using the side of my finger and I kind of pull the string into the next string to get a nice wide tone. And notice my shoulder moving with every note. Not just my fingers, not just my wrists. If you could do that as just a warm-up, it's wonderful. Do it on E, D, G. So now you've learned how to play the first three notes of the major scale. Okay, so what comes after the C sharp? Well, whole, whole. It's going to be a half step, which is going to get us to the note D. So I go whole, whole, and now I could shift the half step to get the D here. Could also play open D, but my goal is to play on one string. So I'm going to play with the first finger. A, B, C sharp, D. Now you kind of have to leap over your pinky to get the D with the first finger, but you could check it against the open D. A, B, C sharp, D. Now, what's awesome is the next note, which is going to be E, is a whole step from D, which means you can also play it with your pinky a whole step. This is a great exercise. And you can check your tuning against the open string. Really dig in with your left hand, try to get a nice growl. First no vibrato, then maybe a little bit. Now sometimes I'll shift up from the B to the C to get the D there, just if I'm looking for a slightly different tone. Like if I want to get that hammer-on gun. But I'm not going to do that now for the purposes of this exercise. I just want to give you guys stuff you can mess around with and work on as electric bass players. You're familiar with hammer-ons and pull-offs. So, A, B, C sharp, D. There's the E I just talked about, and I can check that against the opening. Now notice I brought my thumb around a little bit because as I go up the neck, I get closer to thumb position. And the neck is thick, a little difficult to play. So as I move up, my left hand almost comes off the neck a little bit in terms of the thumb holding the back. And that's how you also build strength in the fretting hand, the left hand. A, B, C sharp, D, E. Now where do I go from here? Well, whole to B, whole to C sharp, whole to D, whole to E, whole, whole, half. I'm sorry, got that wrong. Let me repeat. A, whole step to B, whole step to C sharp, half step to D, whole step to E. The next move is going to be E to F sharp, which is a whole step. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find that whole step distance here and play the F sharp with my first finger And that's the major third of the D, so I can actually check it against open D. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp. Now, the next move is another whole step, which is G sharp. So why shift? I can get it right there with my ring finger. I'm not going to play it with my pinky because in this area of the bass, I can go to a more four-fingered technique. Down here, with the wider neck and the wider interval, most bass players, from a classical perspective, the fingering is to use a three-finger technique, pointer, middle, pinky, and ring as one. So as I move up kind of past, kind of to the neck pocket here, to this little area of the bass, where I'm grabbing the interval of a fifth from the open string, I'm gonna start to think more in terms of using all four fingers, especially in that thumb position area that we all dread. I still do, even after all these years. You still want to start thinking about using all four fingers because the intervals, the half steps are smaller, and it's more comfortable, especially if you play electric bass. You can have a lot of fun in thumb position because you're kind of used to that. So A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and guess what? We're looking for one more interval, the half step away, the octave A. I can get that as a harmonic or a fretted note with my third finger. Here's the whole thing. A, whole step to B, whole step to C sharp, whole step to half step to D. I made that mistake twice, I'm not gonna do it again. Whole step to E, whole step to F sharp, whole step to G sharp, whole step to A, and then descend. Now, a very important thing to target here is the fifth. On the open string, on most upright basses, the fifth occurs at or around where the heel, I call it the pocket of the neck, where the neck meets this little deal here that slots into the back here. By the way, a couple years ago, this plywood bass of mine, the glue came off and the whole neck came off. So try to keep your bass out of the sun, unlike I'm doing right now, but it's a sunny day, so I'll take it. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. I love it. And you can just improvise on that. Let's try to bring in the upper register. There's the A. Now, we could do it on the open D. Get the open D there, which checks where you are on the open G. So you're getting all four major scales, E, A, D, and G, with this single fingering, and you're getting up the bass into thumb position. Now, where does this really benefit your playing? When you start incorporating it with playing across the strings. Just as an example, open A, B, C sharp, open D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. Well, now I got some options. I could go mixing and matching. Also remember, you want to try to play to the lowest possible note on the bass in any given scale you're practicing. Get used to this. So if I go A, I also have the low G sharp, the low F sharp, and the low E. All of those are valid notes. You should get used to playing the A major scale from the low open E. All right, so do that on all four major scales from all four open strings from the lowest possible note available on the bass. Just get up to the octave now. And what I would suggest you do is when you get to that octave, use the side of your thumb, because that's going to teach you, I'm out of tune, how to get into thumb position, which we'll talk about in the future.